Hello, 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 hello. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. It's a great morning here in Chicago. I am so excited to have you in today's live. And we have some very exciting news for you if you are a sole proprietorship, if you are a business owner, a self employed individual, or, we're not going to leave out the millions of taxpayers across the US. Today, we have some very exciting topic for you. We want to help you avoid expensive mistakes that we have seen in the past several years. Many business owners come into our firm for tax preparation, bringing these mistakes, and we had to fix them. So, as we are about to begin this tax season, I want to go live today, right now, to talk about the seven mistakes you need to be watching out. When you hire a tax preparer, you need to be able to understand what you need to be looking at, what you need to be looking for in terms of potential mistakes that could cost you a lot of money. And before we kick things off, let me introduce myself. My name is Lunta Di La Paulo. I'm a CPA licensed in the state of Illinois and Michigan. Of course, we can serve business owners across the entire continental United States, even Hawaii, and other parts of our beautiful country, United States of America. And we help small business owners, we help taxpayers across the US with their tax needs. And we're here to help you. If you don't know me or my firm, I would encourage you to look at our social media pages or our website, www.yetuadvisory.com, or our social media handle, it's Yetu Advisory. Okay, you'll find a little bit of what we have been doing the past few years. Okay, and again, our goal has always been to help business owners across the US to serve them the best possible way we can. And today I am really thrilled because we have seven exit mistakes we're going to be sharing with you. And I hope it helps you. It helps, somebody if you can share the link, okay, if you can share with a business owner that might need to have this information, that would be great. So with no further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, okay, so that we can kick things off. Okay, let me do that just a second so that we can actually walk to this presentation together. Okay, so this is our presentation today, and we're gonna be covering seven exit mistakes. Let me actually stop sharing my screen. Let me stop sharing my screen. Okay, that's not necessarily the right place that I wanted to be, but okay, now we're talking. Okay, now we're talking. Okay, let me share my screen. That way, yes, now we're talking about important stuff, right? So just to give us an agenda of what we're going to be covering today, we have essentially the seven mistakes to watch out for on your tax returns this tax season. Again, my name is Lunta Di La Paulo. I'm a CPA and MBA. I help business owners save money on taxes, become a little bit more profitable with their company, and prepare their company for an exit, right? I bring a lot of wealth of information, expertise from my career as a former investment banker, as well as a CPA. We combine the best of both worlds, okay? So just give us an agenda. I'm gonna be covering, first of all, the seven common mistakes we've seen across hundreds of tax returns. And then I'm going to give you a bonus on specifically Schedule C and Schedule E mistakes. And I'll wrap up with, before you sign the return, what you absolutely must do. So please stay until the end of this live if you want to get valuable information as we kick things off. Okay, so as we begin, let's kick things off with the easiest things, right? The clerical mistakes. Those are really easy to spot. They are easy to identify. There are things that you can scan quickly on your tax return and figure out them really quick and call your accountant, call your tax preparer or CPA to get them fixed right away. So let's look into what are those clerical mistakes. So things like, incorrect filing status. Maybe you're married and you ask your accountant to, file your married filing separately. You and your spouse are going to be filing separate tax return, but your tax preparer forgot that and still included you as married filing jointly, right? That's a quickly mistake to fix before the tax return is filed. Otherwise, you would need to amend the tax returns. Okay, so that's something that you can do, you can spot really quick. The other thing is not having a social security number or entering incorrect social security number. You gotta make sure that you're reviewing your tax return for these kind of mistakes. Because when you send a tax return, if it doesn't have accurate social security number, that return might be rejected. Or more likely, it's gonna be rejected. Okay, having incorrect bank account number or routing number. These could also be another mistake, especially for folks who have a refund, right? Your money can end up in somebody else's bank account, and it's a nightmare to get that money back to your bank account. Okay. You also need to make sure that the information that is entered into the overall return is accurate. So things like your W-2 information, right? Your wages, the withholding, right? In terms of taxes at the federal level, at the state level, you want to make sure that that kind of information is accurately entered, okay? We're not perfect. Somebody who's preparing your tax return might miss a number, might add a few zero, and suddenly there's a large tax bill that you're eyeing at, and you're very surprised. So make sure you're reviewing your tax returns before anything else. So those are the clerical errors, right? Again, these are the basics. These are the simple stuff, the kind of item that you can easily identify and make sure that they are corrected before your tax returns are sent to the IRS or the state Department of Revenue. Mistake number two are emotion-driven mistakes. So let's look into what are these emotion-driven mistakes. Often that's a situation where a tax preparer is anxious to file the tax return so that they can get the refund as quick as possible. But here's the catch though. If you haven't received all of the paperwork you need to file your tax return, you can go ahead and file your tax return, and you'll be forced to amend your tax returns because you haven't had a chance to actually you haven't had a chance to actually have every single information in front of you to complete your tax return. Another similar on the opposite end of filing too soon, too early, too quickly is to file very late. And that's typically situations where the taxpayer, excuse me, knows that, hey, look, I'm gonna owe money, and they realize that, well, I'm gonna owe, so I should try to push away the filing of the tax returns, the farthest possible. But here's the problem though. The deadline for paying your taxes is April 15th, whether or not you file an extension, right? So it really means what you're doing is end up seeing taxpayers not filing tax return for 1, 2, 3 years, right? Meaning that they are just adding up on late filing fees, penalties, and additional interest, right? On top of the amount they initially owe. So my advice to you as a taxpayer is really straightforward. It doesn't matter if you will owe money or not. You absolutely need to file your taxes on time, especially if you expect to owe taxes to the IRS or your State Department of Revenue. So make sure that you clear that. Just get away. It's easier to set up a payment plan than to having to have to deal with additional fees and penalties and interest. The other a kind of emotional situation is when a tax preparer, a taxpayer isn't ready to file the tax returns because their situation is very chaotic. I often see these with self-employed individuals. They haven't done their bookkeeping the entire year. They haven't organized their files. They haven't done a good job with their financial reporting or their accounting system. And as a result, they feel like they feel so much stress, they feel overwhelmed with the fact that they need to file the tax returns, but they don't want to go through the work of figuring out what they need to get their taxes done. So my advice to you is, we're still very early in the year. The deadline for corporate returns are March 15th. This is the good time to hire an accountant, a CPA, professional that you can trust. We're here if you feel like we can be of value to you. We'll be more than happy to connect on a call to learn a little bit more about you. And if we are a good fit for you, we'll be more than happy to assist you. But corporate returns March 15th, individual returns April 15th. So the challenge is let's get you starting to organize your accounting, your records, so that by the time we're approaching the deadlines, you'll be ready to go. Okay. So that's mistake number two, emotion driven mistakes, right? A lot of fear, a lot of anxiety around these kind of mistakes. And number three, we're talking about mistakes for not claiming everything you're entitled to. And there is an element of fear as well here, because often we see business owners saying things like, I don't need to claim depreciation because the IRS is going to recapture it later. Of course, they will recapture, you know but if you're not claiming it today, you're not taking the benefit today, right? Later, when they recapture, you're paying taxes on things that you did not take advantage of, right? So make sure that, if you have fixed assets that are depreciable, you're actually claiming those depreciation. You're actually helping you reduce your income tax liability, okay? Don't be afraid of claiming your home office deduction. I've seen many business owners saying, many self employed individuals saying, hey, I can claim home office deduction. My accountant, my CPA told me not to do that. But listen, my friend, the truth is, if you are following the rules, you shouldn't be afraid of claiming what you're entitled to. Okay, you shouldn't be afraid of doing that. And every single business deduction you're supposed to entitle, you're supposed to claim, please do claim them. Okay, if you can stand firm on any claim you make on your tax return, you gotta take advantage of those, because the tax code is written help you, okay, not necessarily to punish you if you're not breaking the law. Business owners also forget to claim business, especially these folks who feel like they know enough of the tax return, of the tax code themselves, to use a tax software to file their own taxes. Many of them miss out on business deductions, on business credit. So I just want to make sure that you are aware of that you should be taking advantage of every possible business deduction and tax credit that you are entitled to, if you can substantiate it. Okay. And I see a lot of mistakes, in relations of business deductions and business credit. One in particular is startup expense and production. Many business owners incorrectly claim that. Another area is around, when they are claiming their travels, right, their meals, around that. So just make sure that how your CPA, your tax preparer is claiming those, so that you're not in the future. So just a reminder, right? We're covering the mistakes that owners may be aware of, right? And their accountants or tax preparers about, and unfortunately end up costing them money. So that's mistake number three, not claiming everything you are entitled. And mistake number four is about failing to keep records, adequate records. Okay, so let's see what are some of those potential records. Okay, so supporting documents, it's W-2s, 1099s, 1098T, 1098E, the miscellaneous items, right? You gotta keep all these supporting documents just in case the IRS or the State Department of Revenue comes after you. You gotta make sure that you have, profit and loss statements, your balance sheet, if the trial balance, if you are filing a Schedule C or Schedule E. Those are very important to keep, very important to have. You need to also show a very well documented information system that allows you, right, to actually come to the result that you see, and make sure that all of your documents are kept in a safe storage, in a safe place. Okay, because if you don't have that, if you don't have a way to safely keep your information and you lose them and the IRS comes after you, it becomes a really complicated situation to defend there. Okay, so just make sure that you are keeping your information safely and accurately. Now, let's look at mistake number five. Mistake number five tells us about the failure to make quarterly tax payments, especially for those of you who have a Schedule C, Schedule E, or what individuals, folks in the gig economy, Lyft driver, folks who are independent contractors. So I want to make sure that you are aware of the fact that any income you earn minus the expenses to incur to generate that income will give you a net income. And that's where you need to calculate quarterly your estimate to pay the IRS or the state government. So if you're not doing that, you really need to make sure that at least you have somebody who can help you do that. If you need help, again, we're here to help you be a little bit more effective into this kind of work. So, and I just want to point out a few other items here to make sure that you are calculating that correctly. So, if you need to calculate your quarterly tax withholding, get a CPA who can help you do that correctly, so that at the end of the day, you are not surprised with a large tax bill. Okay, when there is a material change in your life, if you're just got married or if you have kids or adopted, you need to make sure, if you have a W-2, a job, you need to make that change. Also, not, don't wait until the end of the year before you can start thinking about, did I pay enough taxes this year? Okay, you need to have a process, a system to do that, very much early on in the year, to address this item, right? And last but not least, make sure, as you generate money, make sure you're setting aside some money to be used to pay taxes. Okay, so if you do that, you can avoid situations where you arrive at the end of the year, right, or not at the beginning of the year, the beginning of the tax season, you don't know where to get the money to pay your taxes. And now let's jump into mistake number six. Mistake number six tells us about folks who get the tax preparer to prepare their taxes, and tax preparer sends them the tax return. They don't spend enough time to review the tax returns. They just sign it, approve it, and then they tell the tax preparer, you can e-file this. That's a big mistake. There is nothing more dangerous than doing that, because I've seen situation where a tax preparer changed the banking information on the final return of the client, so that the money hits their account and then they send a portion of the refund to the taxpayer, right? It's unethical, it's fraudulent, right? That shouldn't have happened, but things like that do happen. So just make sure that you are aware of what your tax preparer, excuse me, is filing on your behalf, because at the end of the day, you bear the ultimate responsibility of everything on your tax return. Okay, it's not your CPA, it's not your accountant, it's not even your tax preparer, it's you. So I want to encourage you to build the habit of reviewing your tax return holistically and making sure that every single piece of information that is included there, you know about it and you can support and stand behind it. Because when you sign your tax return, it's under perjury. Okay. So if your tax preparer lied on your behalf and you didn't even realize it, guess who's in the hook? You. So, my friends, please let's do ourselves a favor. Let's make sure that every single time a professional sends us some piece of work they've done, we actually do review it. I'm a CPA and I've seen many nightmare stories, and I don't want that to be your story. I want you to sleep and have peace of mind. So, I'm gonna pause here on mistake number 6 and jump out quickly on mistake number 7. Okay, mistake number 7 tells us about working with unethical or disreputable tax preparer. Tax preparers who simply ghost you when there is a problem, that you send emails, that you call, and they are no longer available and nowhere to be found. Okay, so make sure that you're vetting the tax preparers that you are trying to work with this tax season. Watch out over people who are not licensed, okay, who don't have the license to practice the profession, right? You wouldn't go to a dentist that hasn't completed dental school, right? So your taxes are important. Make sure that you are taking them to somebody who's gonna be there year over year and who can be there when you call them and when you need help, right? Be mindful about do it yourself tax software. They can be great for certain individuals under certain income threshold, right? Very simple tax returns. But the more complex your tax situation becomes, you really should consider having someone who can give you professional advice, who can help you. The little bit of money you're trying to save with a tax professional could end up costing you thousands of dollars for something that you didn't do correctly, right? And the last thing that I want to add here is to really be mindful about folks out there advertising during the tax season. We're gonna get you, excuse me, we're gonna get you the largest refund possible. Look, tax is driven by your individual situation, your specific circumstances. If somebody's making promises too good to be true, probably it's too good to be true. And I want to caution you because I've seen tax returns with added Schedule C for people who never had any reason to have a Schedule C added into their tax return in the attempt to significantly reduce their income tax by inflating expenses and showing very little income so that that loss can reduce the amount of taxable income. I hope you're not one of these folks, because that's just putting a cord on your neck and trying to hang yourself. That's fraudulent. That can result not only in civil suit but also criminal prosecution. So it's not worth it. It's absolutely not worth it to try to lie on your tax return just to save a little bit of money. There are proper ways that we can help you figure out ethical ways, legal ways to reduce your income taxes. So if folks are making promises that they can't document, they can't put in writing, okay, get a second opinion. And the last thing that I want to share with you here as we get very close to wrapping up our conversation is for Schedule C and Schedule E mistakes. Okay, a lot of folks, filing Schedule C on your tax return are very often afraid of claiming depreciation, home office deduction, or incorrectly claiming those depreciation, or not taking advantage of particular business credit that they are entitled to because they don't see themselves as business owners, right? Or we have seen many situations where a taxpayer is commingling business and personal items, and therefore they don't necessarily know what's the portion that should have been business and what portion that should have been personal expenses. Um, we also have seen people unfortunately lying on their tax return, and with just a little bit of trying to figure out uh, why they were claiming certain items on their tax returns, we ended up realizing, well, they're lying, and we definitely wouldn't sign a tax returns that we know a taxpayer is lying. So there are other folks out there willing to do that, but we're not risking our license. I'm a CPA. I have to follow a professional code of conduct as a professional, but I also like the idea of being a good citizen in helping people ethically, in following the rule of law. So if you are a like-minded individual who wants to do good, who wants to reduce their income tax legally, morally, ethically, right? You can reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to assist you. So before you sign your tax return this tax season, I want to give you one final advice. Review the heck of that tax return. And if you have any question, you gotta meet up with your tax preparer, set up a Zoom call, share the screen, ask, I didn't understand this, I didn't get that. Ask them why things are the way they are. If they can't tell you, you probably shouldn't file that tax return. And last but not least, here's our contact information, right? You can find our website at yetuadvisory.com. My personal email address, lcpaulo. Oh, there is a mistake there. Look at that. lcpaulo lcpaulo at yetuadvisory.com. Our cell phone number, 773-937-1264. And if you want to set up a meeting with us, if you want to book a call for this tax season, you can find us as well in our calendar. It's right there, tidy call slash yetu advisory slash tax season. That's to book a call with us if you need help with any tax preparation or tax planning for 2025. It's been a pleasure. It's been a joy to spend these 28 minutes with you. And I look forward to connecting with some of you soon. If there is anything, any ways that we can help you, we are available to help you, to assist you. And have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your weekend. And I look forward to connecting with you soon. God bless.